Hey guys, this is MedHead, and this is 7 things I wish someone told me before becoming pre-med. Now, this list is mostly for freshmen or incoming high schoolers who hope to become pre-med. Now, this is what worked for me personally, and might not be best for everyone. Everyone's different, but this is personally what worked best for me. And these tips should be applicable for everyone's pre-med career throughout freshman to senior year, but this is largely for freshmen and incoming high schoolers. Number 1, do not spread yourself too thin. Now, I've heard that said several times, and I think that's the perfect way to explain it. So a lot of kids, when they get to college, think, join the most clubs I can to show that I can do a lot of things at once. But that might not be the best thing to do. I think personally, I came in with that mindset also, but I think the best thing for you to do is find 2 to 3 clubs that you are really passionate about, and they don't all have to be medical school related or medicine related, but the best thing to do would be to find these clubs that you're super passionate about, get involved, and get super excited about them to where you can, talk about them and be able to extensively talk about how they changed you or how you helped bring about a positive change within the club. Now, medical schools will look at this more heavy than 12 clubs, 2 to 3 clubs you're super passionate about, whereas 12 clubs you don't really have any idea why you're in the first place, rather than it was just a check off for you. So I think the best thing for you to do is to realize, hey, maybe I can join these few clubs and make a big impact and get excited about them. Start documenting about them. Be sure to remember special moments that you have within them so that you're able to talk about them later. I think this is especially important when it comes to interviews, and just especially important when it comes to developing as a person and a medical student in the future. Number 2, your major does not matter. Now, a lot of people coming into college, including me, when they're joining the pre-med track and figuring out what is the best major for me to get into medical school. Now, there is a lot of people who aim for bio and chemistry, and sometimes physics, and that's not a bad major at all. It's a great thing for you to do if you really enjoy this specific field of study, and it's not a bad idea also because a lot of people say it might help you on the MCAT or maybe in medical school itself, but there are actually studies that are coming out showing, or statistics showing, that humanities majors are actually doing a little bit better on the MCAT. But with that being said, a lot of the overlap of biology, chemistry, and other science classes overlap with the pre-med prerequisites you need to get into med school in the first place. So they're really good for, intertwining those 2 things and, getting these 2 things done at once. Now, with that being said, I am a psychology major, which is a social science in itself, but it's because I really enjoy the topic of psychology, not because I heard the psychology section was added to the MCAT, which is, I guess, helpful, but not a really good reason to do it in the first place. But I took it because I enjoy it. And a lot of med schools might see a lot of psychology majors on the applications, they might not. But actually, a lot of medical schools are starting to actually reach out to more of the non-traditional majors, such as maybe English, or I'm a business major, or something in that realm. So it's not so much as what can be the best for me to get into medical school, because there's no special formula for the best major. But the best thing for you to do is choose a major you enjoy, and so that you're able to get the most out of it. And how bad would it be to go through 4 years of something you didn't enjoy solely because you wanted to get in medical school? And there's nothing really special about choosing any specific major in the first place. So I think for the best answer to this choice is choose something you enjoy that you're able to talk about if you are asked why did you major in this particular area. Number 3 is find a mentor. Now, I'm not talking about the university advisor that was given to you. They were chosen for you. You want to find someone that you've chosen that your interests match with. Now, you want to make sure that your mentor is along the same path or has some knowledge of the path that you're going to be on. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to find a doctor to be your mentor. While that is great, and if it works out for you, that would be awesome. But for me personally, I have mentors who are only but maybe 2 or 3 years older than me, but have been recently on the same path as me and have succeeded immensely. So these people are able to give me tips, and I can just shoot them a quick text. So the value of a mentor is beyond what a lot of people credit it. So make sure that you find one. Number 4 is prioritizing, and specifically prioritizing classes. Specifically prioritizing classes. Now, it is a little bit different, or a lot of bit different actually, in college versus high school. In high school, you might have not had time to finish a homework project or a project because you were watching Netflix or you were hanging out with friends. And in college, it might be a little bit different. It depends on, every person's different. But for me personally, I figured out that in college, it's not about prioritizing leisurely things over class, but it's prioritizing class over other classes, which is, you might say that's not fair. It kind of isn't, but a lot of the time you find yourself, is this class worth studying for before this one, or should I study before this one? And my advice for that is to make sure you know your strengths in each class. Make sure you know the syllabus in and out. Make sure you know how much percentage of this is worth or that, and make sure you also know your teacher well. Now, every class is going to be different. I've also learned that you cannot study for every class the same way. You can't just translate all the techniques. Now, it might really work for you really well because sometimes it works out like that, but I personally found that a lot of my classes, you cannot just use the same study techniques with each one. So find which works best for you, and I'd be sure to also take notes in class. I'm not a big fan of typing on the computer. Now, if your professor's moving too fast, that's another thing. I maybe use a computer. Personally, if a professor's moving too fast, then I'll make sure to take notes before the class so I can follow along. So just make sure you prioritize these classes and know your strengths and weaknesses in each and what works best for each one, because they're not all the same. Number 5, start documenting a list of activities. The list of activities that you do can be kept anywhere. I keep mine personally on Google Docs, but this is going to help immensely, and I'm sure it'll help me immensely. As far as the activities that you're talking about, or that you think I'm talking about nearly everything that you're passionate about or that you can talk about. From volunteering at a food shelter, from research, from clinical experience, from maybe even shadowing. You could even do, I rock climb every day. I don't rock climb every day sometimes, but maybe you rock climb every day and you're in a rock climbing club. And it's not even cut off anywhere near where you would think. Now, you're not going to include all these maybe in your application, but it's good to have all these things down for you to have in one place where it's documented and kept for you to refer to when it comes to that time when you need to apply. Now, for the things you need to put for each activity, it varies depending on which activity you're talking about. For each one, you generally want to put the title of the activity, the role of the activity that you, or in the activity that you serve. You want to put the dates that you started and ended. You also want to put maybe a description about it. You want to put the hours, and sometimes you might even want to put a contact number or information for this person that oversaw the event for you to be able to refer adcoms or admission committee, refer adcoms to these people that oversaw these events to be able to verify. Number 6. Now, coming into college, I had no idea how important volunteering was. I had some idea that I needed to volunteer, that it'd be good for my growth, that it'd be good for experiencing different things. Now, you mostly hear the craze about coming into college as a pre-med, about your GPA and your MCAT, and oh my god, he didn't get a 4.0 and now he's gonna get into med school, which is far from false. From true. False. True. Far from true. Ha. It's far from true. Now, GPA and MCAT is very important, but volunteering is where you show med schools who you are outside of studying, who you are as a person. You want your application to be able to talk for you, because you're not going to be able to talk until the interview if you're lucky to get one, which I hope all of you do. But the application for right now is talking for you, and they receive so many applications that you want your application to be a voice. Now, number 7 is not to be outdone by number 6, but number 6 is not to be outdone by number 7. I think they're pretty much up there with each other, but GPA is extremely important. Now, that's not to put the robot persona on where I'm just a GPA machine, I only care about GPA. No, you should care about other things like other than GPA, which I've mentioned, but GPA is immensely important, and most of the times for a lot of med schools it's usually a cutoff. And if you don't have that cutoff, then they won't look at other things. So some could argue it is the most important thing, and it is pretty much up there. So make sure at the end of the day, while you're passionate about volunteering and other things, make sure you are also passionate about learning and always being a learner, because medicine is a field where you're continuously learning. So be passionate about studying, and sometimes lie to yourself. You might not like physics. I do not like physics, but I tell myself I like physics because that's what gets me through studying, and that's what gets me excited about studying for different things. So at the end of the day, you really need to make sure you have your standards at a 4.0. I've heard so many people say my goal is a 3.8. That should never be your goal. Your goal should be a 4, for sure. For sure, 4, But make sure that you do have GPA right there in the front. While it is not the end-all be-all, it is one of the biggest things. Last week I did vlog my JAM interview, and I should be getting results for that early February, I'm hoping. And today I actually have another interview, which is why I'm wearing this. I usually wear t-shirts. I love t-shirts, but I gotta wear this for the interview. And next week I should be posting another vlog, and I'm hoping to get that out soon and get ideas out for that. And if you have any other tips for what you wish you were told during or before your pre-med experience, please post them below in the comments. And if you have any questions about your upcoming pre-med experience, if you are a high school senior or junior or below that maybe, please post those questions or comments in the comments also. And I thank you guys for being with me on this journey, and I'll see you guys on the next MedHead.